Woof! Hey guys, it's me Marcus, aka the Mad Dog. It's the beginning of the season, and you know that can mean only one thing. Yes, it is time for your Winter 2022 edition of Watch. This is a series that I tend to do once a season where we take a recording of my screen and we just look at some of the books that maybe are going out of print and you've got a last minute chance to find them, or maybe they are going out of print in the next couple of months, or maybe we can just find you a good deal along the way. I don't have any kind of insider knowledge, I'm just one fan of this hobby that's trying to help others to not miss out on some of the books that they may want. And I'm going to say this at the beginning of the video now, but only ever make sure that you can buy books that you can afford. Don't go into debt for this hobby. I know times are getting tough, but always make sure that you can pay your bills first. But jumping straight into it is a book that I did visit last season and I immediately had to eat my words, because it's the 7 to Eternity Super Fancy Recommended Deluxe Edition. This pretty much went out of stock immediately. I fortunately managed to get my copy from the channel sponsor Organic Price Books, but unfortunately now, as you can see, they are sold out as well. Forbidden Planet just straight up isn't showing it, and Cheap Comics is charging nearly double cover price for it already. Rick Remender himself tweeted that there was only going to be about 8,000 or so copies of this, and once it was sold out, it was gone. And I thought you might at least have a chance after release day to get your hands on this, but it disappeared near enough everywhere. There are only two bits of good news that I have about this book. The first is coming from Walt's Comic Shop. Now this is a great website if you are in the EU. It seems like they are pretty much the Europe equivalent of Organic Price Books. Very open about what they can get in stock, and it seems like they put postage and packaging at the forefront. Nope, I'm not sponsored by them as well, but I know I have some EU viewers, so I thought I'd shout them out. When I checked the other day in preparation for this video, when it came to 7 to Eternity, it does say that it's out of print, but it says restock ? And we are trying. So I don't know if they've got some kind of new information that I'm not aware of, but it does look as if there's a possibility that maybe there's going to be a second printing. With how quick this went out and people not really having a chance to get it after release date, I think it would be something that's more than likely going to happen. It's not a book that warmed the shelves for months, it barely even touched them. Wait, what on it? Huh. Okay, I'll be back in a minute.
2 seconds later.
The only other good bit of news that I found is that Amazon itself does seem to have it in stock at the moment. As well with this Amazon tracker that I've got called Keeper, which allows you to track certain products if they come in and out of stock. It shows that the cheapest place that's got it in stock at the moment is Amazon Spain. So that might be another good option if you're in the EU, but in all honesty, this seems to have disappeared that quickly that if you can just get it from Amazon, it's worth taking that risk. But that is 7 to Eternity, and I remember in the last episode I said that I was going to do some kind of Sin City check moving forward, because they are doing these super fancy editions and it seems like all of them have been solicited. And I also do not think that these are going to be in stock all the time. I don't think this is going to be an evergreen release. But one thing that I did find interesting and something that we are going to keep going back to throughout this video is the Forbidden Planet sale. I was just browsing this to see if I could find anything decent, and I noticed that they had volume 1 on sale and volume 3. That to me is a quite good sign that some of those later volumes might eventually go into a sale territory as well, because you only put something on sale when you know you can't really get rid of it. And I hardly doubt there's a lot of people that just want a volume 7 and they just want some stray Y that's in the shelf. So I do think that's a good sign if you did want to pick some of these up, but at the same time I also think it's indicating that maybe these are going to start disappearing soon. We're going to keep checking on them throughout, but on all the usual places they are pretty much all entirely in stock, and as the seasons go on I think the list of places are going to grow fewer and fewer. Now when I asked you guys what you think I should put into this season's Whale Watch, a few of you said the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles IDW collections. Now I've heard for a number of years that these are going to be evergreen, and it seems to be the case if you look over the past occurrences. I remember for a while volume 5 disappeared and then it reappeared again. It looks like volume 4's only got a few places that are selling it, none of which we ever really tend to use. Volume 13's not exactly massively in stock, same for volume 10, volume 5 again like I just said, and it does look as if a few of them have disappeared a bit. On Organic Price Books they sold out of volume 10, but when you get to volume 2 here it says that they're waiting on a new printing, which to me says that it is still in that evergreen territory and they are going to keep bringing these out. So you might have to wait a little bit longer for some of those earlier volumes to come back in print, but if they're going to do it with volume 2, I'm assuming that they're going to do it with some of the others. IDW still has a license for this, it doesn't seem like it's disappearing anytime soon, so I wouldn't really worry about any of those. My only advice would be is that if you're missing any of them, if you've got some gaps in your collection, make sure you jump on them as soon as you can. But it's not exactly like the Transformers situation, which is the next series of books that we're going to be talking about, because it's been confirmed that IDW doesn't have the license for these any longer, so once these start drying up, that's it, they're gone. Volume 12 was the one I struggled to get recently. I had to get for full price from Amazon. Volume 5, I know a lot of you guys have been having difficulties with that one, but at the moment it does look as if the rest of them are still currently in stock. Except for when you get to phase 1, then you're missing some like volume 2. And as well, because there's so many volumes of these, it's not likely to be the case that somebody's just going to sell a volume 7. Most people that have got those later volumes have them because they want this entire collection. Phase 3, I imagine, might stay in print a little bit longer because it's the most recent one, and also I've heard a lot of people saying that they won't buy this because they know it won't be finished. But phase 1 volume 1 is completely out of stock at Amazon, along with volume 7. They don't have phase 2 volume 12 anymore either, and it does look as if the vast majority of them are creeping up in price and have less and less people selling them. I'm not gonna go through every single website to see which ones you can get from where. This is just something to give you an advisory if you are wanting to collect this series. I'd recommend checking stuff like Read Comics and Forbidden Planet and anywhere that you can to see if you can pick up some of those missing volumes. So long story short, if you're missing some volumes of your Transformers collections, make sure you get them as soon as possible. Another series that I want to talk about, especially because it's one of my favourites, is the Power Rangers Deluxe Editions. Now it seems like every year one of these goes out of print, starting with year 1, then it was year 2, then it was Shattered Grid, which as you can see here just say currently unavailable. There's absolutely nobody selling them. Oh, I am glad though that Book 2 of Go-Go's been announced, but that to me suggests that Beyond the Grid is the next one that's going to go. Admittedly, this isn't the high point of this series, I'm just going to forewarn you, but if you're a completionist or somebody that wants absolutely everything Power Rangers like myself, then this is something that you would need. You can still get it from some of the places that we already know, like Books Etc. and Book Depository. I can't seem to find it over here at Organic Price Books. I've only seen the paperback here at Forbidden Planet. Read Comics does have it in stock, but it's quite close to cover price. But I don't really see too many places selling it for a decent price. Again, even if this isn't the high point of the series, you don't want it to be the case that you end up having to pay over cover price for it. There's not really many books that I'd justify doing that for, especially not Beyond the Grid, so just take me advice that if you do want this and you're a completionist like me, this is one that's probably going to go out of print soon. Another TV show adaptation series that has a deluxe edition that I'm a bit worried about is the Firefly books. I can't off the top of my head remember the ordering of these, but I know that I need a few of them, so I should probably jump on this. Blue Sun Rising, which I believe was the third one that was released, only has a few places that are selling it. It has been in print for about a year now, so who knows if that's around the time that it'd start drying off. Unification War, which came out the year before, it seems to be quite healthily available. There's another one that's coming out later this month. It seems to be an annual thing with these books, and Legacy's just completely unavailable. It seems like only Blue Sun Rising's in stock at Forbidden Planet. You can't get Unification War from Organic Price Books, but you can get Unification War and Blue Sun Rising from Read Comics. But if the first volume can go out of print, then the rest of them can as well, and it seems like some of them are already creeping out of stock in a few places here and there, and I don't want it to be the case that some of you guys end up having gaps in your collection, so make sure if you're missing some of these that you put them as your priority. Another one that I'm not too confident on, it's been in print for a while, but it's the Parker Martini edition. Now we waited a while for that second volume for Last Call that I can't seem to find on Amazon. Okay, so it is there, but you have to very specifically search for it. Now we waited a while for this. I can't believe it's already been in print for over a year. And these are big, beautiful books that probably cost quite a bit to keep in stock. And the first volume was originally printed in about 2013, I believe it was, and this is actually a reprint. And whilst it was out of print, these were going for very heavy prices. And my point is that if IDW would let them go out of print once before, they'd probably let it happen again, especially now that the series is complete. Unfortunately, Darwin Cook's no longer with us, so he's not going to be able to make any more of these. So although I don't think it's going to be something that will immediately go out of print, I think it's something that you do need to be aware of. But it does seem to be in stock at most of the usual places, so you can pick it up from where you want. Another one, but I'm going to go with the Harrow County Omnibus Volume 1. Now yeah, this is a paperback. A lot of us would have liked for those library editions to come back in print, but if you look here, this has nearly been in print for 2 years. You have got some of the usual places keeping it in stock, but I can't see Speedy Hen or anything like that. It's only got about 16% off. It has disappeared a few times over the last couple of months, but admittedly the price is quite in line for what it usually is. Volume 1 and 2 are available from Walt's Comic Shop, but they do seem to be full cover price, and it's showing out of stock at Read Comics, but that they're going to be getting a restock quite soon. So for me, if you did want these and you don't think that Dark Horse is going to do some further printing of this, maybe they're going to do something like some kind of compendium, I think that'd actually be quite nice. I'd probably pick that up myself. Then maybe jump on these. But now I'm going to divert your attention to some of these Ed Brubaker hardcovers because of the fact, if we're being honest, how many of them can you name that have been consistently in stock for years? Think about stuff like Cruel Summer or Kill or Be Killed, which admittedly I have heard about the reprint of, and I'm going to get onto that soon. But it does look as if Volume 1 is drying up. We talked about Volume 2 a couple of months ago, but there's not a lot of places that are selling this new. I know that that's an independent comic shop. You haven't got Speedy Hen, Books Etc., Wordery or Book Depository, and it is a decent price at Amazon. Amazon, it's about 33% off. And I believe I've said this before, but Volume 1 and Volume 2 were reprints of Icon books, so I don't think they would have made as many of them as he did for Volume 3, because not everybody's as big on their OCD as I am and need to have everything looking the exact same. Volume 1's on back order over at Organic Price Books and you can't get Volume 2. You can get Volume 1 for a slight bit cheaper than Amazon, but you would have to factor in postage and packaging. Can't get Volume 2, it's got the purple button of doom, and you can only get Volume 1 at Forbidden Planet. Now this is a series that I absolutely love and I recommend as many people trying it as possible. It is a bit disappointing that Cruel Summer's also out of print because it does mean that you're going to struggle to get the complete series in deluxe edition, but the volumes that you can get, make sure that you do. And in saying that, the next one that I want to talk about is the Pulp Process edition. It says it's on a limited time deal over here at Amazon, and this is a deluxe edition so it will match the dimensions of your other Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips books, but the standard size hardcover of this went ridiculously out of print. Cruel Summer was in a very similar situation that a lot of people slept on it and then all of a sudden it disappeared. Either way though, for the price that this is, if this is the book that you're missing out of your Sean Phillips and Ed Brubaker section, make sure you jump on it. Now I remember somewhere it started circulating that there was a solicitation for the reprint of Kill or Be Killed, the deluxe edition, which I know a lot of people want. That went ridiculously out of print as well, but it was refuted by Sean Phillips. I remember him himself saying that he wasn't aware that it was going to happen. Unfortunately, I just stumbled on the tweet after about 10 minutes of searching, so you can see here that he said, do you happen to know anything about a Kill or Be Killed deluxe hardcover reprint? It showed up in the Diamond previews, but not sure if it's real. And Sean Phillips himself said, not as far as I know. Now, I don't want to be negative, but at the same time with Image books, it is the case that the creators are the one that have to push for a printing or a reprinting. So if Sean Phillips doesn't know anything about it, either he's playing coy or he hasn't been involved with that process. And I don't really feel like that's likely. Him and Ed Brubaker have a really good relationship, so if he's saying that he hasn't heard anything about it, I wouldn't really get my hopes up. I'll still keep your fingers crossed for you and hope that this isn't true and that the reprint's still coming out. I believe it was in January or February, but that also seems like a really quick turnaround time. A weird one that I was a bit skeptical on putting on Whale Watch, but it's going to be the Walking Dead compendiums. Now looking at Volume 4, there's only 4 places that are selling it. Amazon is the cheapest, and the only other reputable place that we know is Book Depository. It's been in print for over 3 years now. Volume 3's only got a couple people that are selling it, again none that we really know, and Volume 2 seems like it's not healthily available either. Now this is The Walking Dead, and if I remember correctly, we are also The Walking Dead. This is one of the biggest money printers that comics have ever seen, and I believe Robert Kirkman's well aware of that. However, now that the main TV show is finished, and also a lot of people just seem to be done with the franchise, I'm not too certain on how quickly these are going to come back in stock. I believe that there always will be a way to get The Walking Dead, and the compendiums are probably the best value for money, but it does make me a little bit worried that it seems like a lot of places just don't have these. Not that worried that I feel like you just need to buy it, no questions asked, but at the same time I think it should be something that you're aware of. You don't want to miss out, especially because this is one of the best series that I've probably ever reviewed on this channel. Another one that I mentioned last time, and I said it hypothetically, but it now seems like it's come true. It is the Murder Falcon Deluxe Edition. Now yes, Amazon is selling it at a reduced price at the moment. It is only about £20. I read this recently, I've got a review coming out later this month, so make sure you subscribe for that one. But look, Amazon is pretty much the only place that we know that's selling this. Yeah, you've got Book Depository, but that says to me that they don't actually have this in stock. Along with Blackwell's, their data isn't too great as well. Organic Price Books does have it available. Along with Read Comics, it is a little bit cheaper than Amazon, but it says will ship in 3 to 4 weeks. I don't know if they've got some news of some restock that we're just not aware of, but normally they put that kind of information up, so I don't really know what's happening with this. But like I said last Whale Watch, I think that this is one of those books that you just need to get if you want it. It's reasonably well priced and a well put together book, and I can see this going the way of something like Luther Strode or The Complete Phonogram, that it'll just disappear and all of a sudden people will be paying ridiculous prices for it. Another one that I'm going to look at is the Lock and Key Compendium. It's been creeping up in price over here at Amazon, and there's only a few places that are selling it, and again we don't really have that Books Etc. or Weirdery or Speedy Hen, and it's also been in print for over a year, and there's so many different ways that you can pick up Lock and Key. And as well, I know the Netflix show hasn't really done that well. Like, it's done well, but not for a Netflix show. It is in stock over at Organic Price Books, and it is in stock over at Read Comics. So maybe I'm not entirely right with this one, but at the same time I think there has been some of those signs that normally tell me that something's going out of print. And IDW are weird, it doesn't seem like there's some clear-cut rule on what is and what isn't going out of print, so just keep your eye out on that one, especially with the show ending soon. Another one that I want to put on your radar because of the fact that I don't really know a lot about this publisher. It's the first volume of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror Omnibus. This is a beautifully put together book. This would probably be one of my best buys of this year. It's only been in print since September, but at the same time we don't really know a lot about this company. I don't know what Abrams Comics arts are like, and because of how well put together this is for the price it is, I don't really know how profitable this book is. So I said is a lot of time set. It does say it's the first of 3 volumes, which would leave me to believe believe that if you're going to do later volumes, you'd probably want to keep the first in stock. But similar to like I just said with Murder Falcon, for the price that this is, if you can afford it, you might as well get it rather than missing out and wishing you would have got it for this price. But at the minute, it doesn't look like this is something that's at risk of going out of print before the next Whale Watch, which, if you've watched this show before, probably means that it's going to go out of stock as soon as I publish this video. Some good news though, a lot of these Spawn books are getting reprints and they're officially available to order. We've heard rumblings about it for a while, but these deluxe editions of Origins went stupidly out of print. But literally at the end of this month, you can get these, along with a 5th volume. And I've heard that Origins is supposed to be getting reprints of some of those earlier volumes along with sequels. But mate, if you wanted these and you've been waiting years to get them, I'd get my pre-orders in right away. I don't know if this is going to be something that they're actively going to keep in print, or something that's just sort of like a one-time re-release. Yeah, I know it is Spawn, who's pretty much a license to print money, especially when it comes to Image Comics, but I know a lot of people who were asking after these whilst they were out of print, but I don't hear a lot of people talking about them now that you can get them again. So make sure you don't miss out on these if you were one of the people who really wanted a reprint. And like I said, you can pre-order all 5 volumes from the channel sponsor, Organic Price Books. They've got great packaging, fast shipping, and amazing customer services, and if you use code WOOFWOOF, you'll get $2 off your order. And if you're ordering 3 or more books and you want them to be delivered together, make sure you use code WOOFWOOF, ship it together for 5% off your entire order. Don't worry, you can just copy and paste them from the description down below, and you can use these codes as many times as you like. One book that I had you guys asking me about is Die. And no, I'm not telling you to die because I like you because you're watching this video, but this book right here, it's been weird. It hasn't really kept in stock well since it's been published. It's literally been out less than a month, so I'm hoping that it's the case that it just hasn't really come out across here. But as well, Kieran Gillen and Image Hardcovers don't really have a good track record. Do you know how easy it is to get a complete set of The Wicked and the Divine at the minute? So I don't know how many more issues of this there are, or if there is going to be a later follow-up volume. Probably fact check that before I say it, because somebody will love to correct me in the comments. Yeah. Issue 20 seems to be the last one last year, so I don't know if there's going to be a sequel series. I know he kind of did that with Phonogram. By the way, to me, it seems like that's the entire series, and I don't really expect that to stick around for long. One that I had suggested from Instagram was the Madman Library editions, but for me, at the minute, it does look as if these are quite healthily available. And I know that there's been the demand for a complete collection of this for a while, so I think until that last volume comes out, you're pretty safe with these ones. There hasn't been a lot of places where I've seen this out of stock, so I wouldn't really worry, and you can put it a bit on the back burner unless you find a really good deal. So we're going to be jumping into the DC books now, and the first one that I wanted to look at was one that I heard rumblings of back in October, and it's the Deathstroke by Christopher Priest Omnibus. And I had a look, and it does look as if all those signs are there. There's only 3 places that are selling it to Amazon, and it is at full cover price. You haven't really got anywhere else that we know, and it looks like Book Depository doesn't really have it in stock. It has been in print now for over a year, which isn't really a great sign, and there is no sequel volume coming out. And admittedly, this is one that it seemed like there was a lot of buzz when it was first announced, but then nobody really seemed to care once it was actually released. It's sold out over at Organic Price Books, and they haven't got anything saying that it's coming back soon. Walt's Comic Shop does have it in for just under cover price, and Cheap Comics isn't even showing it. You can fortunately find it over at Read Comics for quite a bit under cover price. That is the option that I would recommend going for, but I'm not seeing this appear in quite a lot of places. Everything about this would suggest to me that it is going out of print, and it's pretty much already at that stage. It's just the last few places that still have it, and this is a very whammy boy. So I can't see a lot of local comic shops or bookshops buying this because it takes up so much shelf space, and there's only a few people really, when you think in the grand scheme of things, that are able to buy them. So I wouldn't really wait around if this is one of those books that you wanted, because I can see this being one of them that becomes an absolute whale. Another one that isn't a deluxe edition, but I still wanted to point it out to you guys, is the first volume of the Tom Taylor hardcovers. When I last checked, this was in stock. It's only been in the last couple of days that this has actually disappeared, so you can see it was pretty much this morning that they last had it in. And with DC, standard sized hardcovers do disappear quite quickly. Being completely honest with you, I do think eventually this would get some kind of omnibus, so I wouldn't worry about never being able to find this again in hardcover. But at the same time, I know some people don't like having deluxe editions, so if it was that Nightwing was one of those that you wanted to pick up, the first volume seems to be disappearing. It's sold out at Organic Price Books, and it's also out of stock at Read Comics. You haven't even got the Purple Button of Doom. The next one is going to be one that I've gone back and forth on a few times over the Whale Watch history, but it's the JLA by Grant Morrison omnibus. Now Now this has been in print for over 2 years now. It's crept up in price over at Amazon. I always get a little bit suspicious as well when they don't actually show the cover price. Only 8 places that are selling it, only one that's actually cheaper than Amazon, and there's pretty much no one else that's really selling it besides Blackwell's. This is another one that the buzz just completely died for, so I don't know if there's going to be another restocking of this. I know we've already had a couple, and I feel like because of its cover price, this is in the same league as something like the Death and Return of Superman that I don't think it'd be out of print forever, but I could also see a lot of FOMO driving up the prices until a reprint's announced. The fact that they reprinted the 1 million Omnibus gives me hope that this wouldn't be gone forever, but at the same time we haven't got any news at the minute. It is in stock again at Reed Comics and for a pretty decent price, but there's absolutely nothing when it comes to Forbidden Planet. And honestly, these are some of my favourite Justice League stories, so maybe I am going to be a little bit biased, but I also think because of the price that this is, I can see it going for a ridiculously high price when it does go out of print, and I don't want any of you guys having to pay that, so I'd just recommend jumping on it if you can. Another one that we've already seen how out of print this can go, and I'm only going to change one letter because it's the JSA omnibuses. Don't know what happened with my voice there. These are the ones that were done by Jeff Johns, so of course I'm going to take a drink, but the reprint or the restock of these was very stealth. Nobody knew it was going to happen until it was available to order. But Volume 1's already at full cover price with Amazon, they're the only place that's selling it new. Volume 2, the one that really went out of print, is also at full cover price. So it's pretty much beginning of the year that you couldn't get this, and just look at how much some of the prices were new. It's nearly double what it is now. And Volume 3 seems to be in the same boat, but a little bit cheaper. Yeah, not really too many places that are selling that we know of. Organic Price Books has sold out of Volume 1 and got Volume 2 on back order, but they do have Volume 3 in stock. Obviously there might be other places that I just haven't looked at that do have it. I'm only going to check the ones that I only really ever go to. In Stock Trades has Volume 2 and Volume 3. Purple Button are doing for Volume 1 and pre-order buttons for Volumes 2 and 3 over at Reed Comics. It does look as if all 3 volumes are available for at least cover price or a little bit under over at Walt's Comic Shop. And for me, my rationale with this is that there's been a lot of DC books that have gotten reprints recently, and they've announced them. Stuff like Grayson and Sleeper and the Death and Return of Superman, Gotham Central and a few others like that. They made a point of making us know that these are going to become available again. JSA wasn't like that for whatever reason. It's almost as if DC didn't want you to know that they were reprinting them. So for me, if they didn't really make that much noise when they were bringing them back, why would they make a lot of effort to keep them around? Maybe that logic doesn't make a lot of sense to anybody else, but it does to me, so I'm sticking with it. Another omnibus, and maybe it is just the case that DC is going to do a massive batch of restocks soon, which is the Before Watchmen omnibus. And I remember there was a whale watch probably towards the beginning of this year where it did look as if this disappeared, probably around this time, and people were trying to make a quick bit of money and selling this for a ridiculous price, so I don't want that to happen to any of you guys again. I know a lot of people don't like this, and there are some very valid criticisms when it comes to this title, but this isn't a review show. It looks like it's in stock over at Organic Price Books, and also at In Stock Trades, so maybe it's just an issue getting across here in the UK or something. But it's completely out of stock over at Reed Comics. You haven't even got a Purple Button of Doom. So that is one that I would look out for. It's been in print for over 4 years now, and there have been times in the past where it looked like it was going out of print and came back in stock, so you never really know. But I also think it's just worth weighing up how much do you want that book versus how much do you not want to pay over cover price for it. And that's a question that you have to ask yourself. Now here's a deluxe edition that I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of, but it's Wonder Woman the Haikisha, I'm not too sure. I'm not too great at the pronunciation side of things. This is part of the Greg Rucka run, and maybe you're like myself and you're waiting to see if some kind of omnibus comes out. Come on DC, I know you can do it. But if you did just want this part of the story arc, it looks like the deluxe edition's going out of print. It's been in stock for over 2 years, Amazon's the only place that's selling it, and I'm not really seeing it here over at Organic Price Books. Deluxe editions are weird when it comes to DC. There can be one that will just go completely out of print and you never really had a chance to find it. There can be others that just seem to stick around for ages and never go out of print, and there's some that are in the middle. This Wonder Woman one, I'm not too sure where it's going to sit, but it does seem like they only tend to do one printing, and when that dries up, that's it. So it just depends on how much stock the various places have, but I think once that's gone, you're not really going to see it cropping up anywhere. Another Wonder Woman title, and I know a lot of you wanted reprints of all the George Perez omnibuses, and they did volume 1 and then just seemed to give up, but it's the War of the Gods. Now this is just collecting the event, so it is only part of his run, but as you can see here, there's only 4 places that are selling it, not really any that we know. The price is pretty consistent across all the Amazons. That's a bit ironic. You can still get it in stock over here at Organic Price Books. I don't believe it's going to be at Forbidden Planet, because I remember they put this on their sale a bit ago. I guess I'm full of shit because it's right there in stock. And it is in stock over here at Reed Comics. Who knows, maybe I'm completely off base with this one, but my logic is if they'd allow the George Perez omnibuses to go out of print, why wouldn't they let the event that he did go out of print? Or maybe they do just want to keep that one available so that they don't have to keep printing 3 books. I don't know, either way, it doesn't really look too great for it at the moment. Another one that I didn't really know too much about, but if you're one of the people that want wanted it, I think it's worth putting it on your radar, but it's the Wonder Woman Diana prints celebrating the 60s Omnibus. But look, Amazon's the only place that's selling it, and it is for cover price. Everywhere else is like a local comic shop, and it seems like it's been a while that Amazon's the cheapest place that's selling it. It's been in print for nearly 4 years now. Can't see it at organic price books. It is in stock over at Read Comics and for a significantly cheaper price than it is on Amazon. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know if there's much demand for this book. Maybe that's the reason it's been in print for 4 years and I've heard absolutely nobody talking about it. But I'm trying to cover as many different bases as I can with Whale Watch, so if you're one of the people that wanted this, there you go, make sure it's on your radar. But one that I want to draw your attention to that I only really knew because of the fact that it was in the Forbidden Planet sale is Absolute Planetary. Now I know that some people had issues with the binding of their copy, hopefully that's not the case with these ones. But like I said before, if something's on sale, it's normally because of the fact that they want to get rid of it. And a lot of people picked up the Omnibus for this series and it seems like they were quite content with that. This is a whammy boy, and I know that some people like myself didn't really upgrade. And it might be the case that DC doesn't really want to pay a lot of money up front to keep this in stock. It is available over here at organic price books, and it does look like there's a few people that are selling it on Amazon, but still, it's been out for just under a year. Absolutes are really weird. Some do stay in stock all the time and others just, well, don't. So I'm not really too sure on that one, but I think the price it is on the Forbidden Planet sale is worth getting it if you were interested, because I don't know, I just can't really see it hanging around much longer, especially if it's already been discounted twice. Yeah, so at first it went down to £78 and then it was £65. Now if things look a little bit different than they did from a few seconds ago, it's because the camera died. It was quite late at night, so I couldn't get any more filming done then, but when I woke up the next day, I woke up feeling flued up as fuck. So if I sound a bit groggy or my sentences don't make sense, that's the reason why. But I know some of you like Whale Watch, so I'm going to power through with it, and to be honest, I need this because of the fact that I can't really pay my electricity bill. But the next book that we're going to look at is Absolute Batman Hush, and this is one of those that I don't think would be out of print forever because it's such a huge money spinner for DC, but it does seem like it was only within the last couple of months that this started drying up. I can't find it at organic price books either. I'm very doubtful that Forbidden Planet's got it. Nope, no luck there. Read Comics, I feel like they might have some information. Purple Button of Doom, which is never a good sign, and nothing from Walt's Comic Shop either. Now this did already have a reprint back in 2011 and it's been healthily in stock since then, but in all honesty I don't know when the next printing of it's going to come. I don't know if they're going to do some kind of expanded edition because they did do that 20th anniversary hardcover, and maybe DC's having that as the main version that you can get at the moment and that's why the Absolute edition's disappeared. But let's be honest, if you're a fan of Jim Lee, you probably want to see his art in the biggest oversized format possible. This is one that I've seen in a couple of comic shops over the years, and because the slipcase is so inconspicuous, you might be able to stumble on it. So I don't know, it might be worth trying your luck there, but it does look as if this has disappeared within the last few months. The last Absolute edition that I'm going to talk about is one that I feel should be in everybody's collection, and it's Absolute DC The New Frontier. And this was an expanded edition of the original Absolute, so this is the best version that you can get. Amazon's the only place that's selling it new and they've got it at full cover price, and it seems like that's been the case for quite a while. It does look as if nobody had it for a bit of time during September, but then it came back. It is available for back order over at organic price books, but I haven't got any information on when a restock might come out. It is available over at Read Comics and for a significant amount cheaper than it is on Amazon, so if you're in the UK, that would be the one that I'd recommend at the moment. But again, this is another one that it doesn't look like there's healthy levels of stock available. It might be the case that there is going to be a restocking soon since you can back order it from organic price books, but I don't really know on this one, and with a book of this caliber, I'd rather just have it in my collection for that price than miss out on it and see it going for the out of print prices it was a few years ago, even if admittedly I did prefer the slipcase of the original edition. Now one that was very difficult to get over here in the UK was Legion 5 Years Later Volume 1, which is currently unavailable, and Legion 5 Years Later Volume 2. I still haven't picked up the second volume, I should probably get a rush on with it, but it's just so expensive at the moment. But yeah, 5 years has just completely disappeared. I don't even know when the last time someone had it in stock was. Apparently it wasn't all this year, but I remember seeing it a bit earlier. But because of this, I think that second volume's going to disappear as well. Let's be honest, for as much acclaim as this title has, there isn't really a lot of active buzz. It's not something like a Batman book that you know people are going to want to buy. This is for a very specific reader, so I can't really see DC having a vested interest in keeping this on the shelves. So if you're like me and you have volume 1 but you haven't yet picked up volume 2, I think this might be on its last legs, and it might only be a couple more months before you can't get it at all. And that's when it gets into that scalper territory, and you don't want to be paying over cover price for this. You don't want to be paying over cover price for any book. But one thing I did also notice is that the Dark Knight's Metal Omnibus has had a price increase, but a lot of companies over here in the UK haven't updated the price just yet. So as you can see here, Amazon's charging £75, which might sound like it's a bit steep, but I do believe the content has been increased as well. At least I'd fucking fucking hope it is if the price has. So yeah, the cover price is now $150, which is pretty much around about 140 quid. So even with books etc prices, you're probably going to be paying about 80 quid for that. What I did, I got this pre-ordered with Speedy Hen because I believe that they've got quite a good price. Okay, so it's not showing it at the moment. Maybe they've deleted the listing or something. This is just a price comparison site that I use over here in the UK. I've said they've got it for 52 quid, but admittedly it's just not opening. Forbidden Planet, I believe, would adjust the price if you got it for something that isn't available anymore. That seems like it's quite in line with what it probably should be. I don't know, I'd just rather get it at the cheaper price, and it looks like that might be quite fair if the retailer's $150. But it might be worth setting a keeper on this in case Amazon drops the price again, but it seems like this might be something that you can actually do quite a lot. Like I said, Speedy Hen, even if they have had me with my pants down right here and I can't show you today, did honour the cheaper price that they had for books like the Flash by Mark Waid Omnibus, and I believe that they will also follow through with the Dark Knight's Metal. Is it the most moral thing to do? Not really, but if they're offering it for that price and you can pre-order it, why not take advantage? They're within their rights to cancel it, so don't get your hopes up too much because that might be a possibility. But I also saw a price glitch with the Sleeper Omnibus, one that I definitely got my pre-order in for. Yeah, it's still at that stupid price. Look, £36, that is great, especially considering how out of print this was. There might also be a few others. I know Baharath has got a Reddit page where he finds deals like this, so I definitely recommend following there. But you can sometimes stumble on this and save with a pre-order because the price hasn't adjusted just yet. So keep an eye out for some of them if there's some that you really want. Anybody that's been watching Whale Watch since the pandemic will remember this one. It was going in and out of print so often that it made it into every episode. But it's Batman by Paul Dini. Now this has disappeared, I think within the last couple of days. There's 5 places that are selling it. You've got Book Depository, but it doesn't look like they've got it in stock at the moment. You've got Blackwell's, but you haven't really got any other places. You can order it from Organic Price Books. It doesn't look like it's on back order or anything. And I think I ordered my copy from Read Comics because there was nowhere in the UK that had it. But they have got it for quite a good price if you are here in the UK. This is one that is pretty much a compilation of stories, but there's some great ones in there. Especially if you're a Batman completionist, you might need this one, and because I think the buzz has died down quite a bit, I can't really see this having a massive reprint. I might live to eat my own words. The fact that they reprinted the 1 million Omnibus just proves that anything's possible, but you don't really want to gamble on a chance that it might be reprinted, in which case the price of the book would go up anyway because they'd update the cover price, and you might still end up paying more than that, which you could get now. Another one that's appeared and disappeared a few times on Whale Watch is the Superman by Grant Morrison. Now look, there's only 2 places that are selling it, one of which is Amazon. I believe cover price was 60 quid, so this is just over that, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of places that are selling it. It's been in print for over a year and a half, can't seem to find it on Organic Price Books, and it's Purple Button of Doom over at Read Comics. I know there's some people who don't like this, and they make a point of telling you why it's awful in the comment section. Like, if somebody likes it and you don't, just let them enjoy it. But again, because there isn't a lot of hype around this title, when it does go out of print, I think it might just disappear, so you would then be relying on the aftermarket prices, which you probably don't want to pay for a book this thin. One that I'm going to speculate on is going to be Doom Patrol by Rachel Pollack. Now already it's creeped up in price. I know that there's been the currency conversion issue, but this is another title that is quite obscure. You don't really hear a lot of people recommending it, because unfortunately it does follow on from Grant Morrison, who is pretty much the go-to name when it comes to Doom Patrol. So this is another one that I don't really think is going to be with us for too long, and might also just disappear, something similar to Legion 5 years later. It is still in stock over at Organic Price Books, and I think Forbidden Planet might still have it, but I think it also might have cropped up in their sale. Yeah, so it is still available here. I must have been dreaming when I thought it was being discounted, or maybe it was just wishful thinking, but this is one of those that I can't really see sticking around for a while, so if you want it, I'd probably recommend just jumping on it. Speaking of Grant Morrison, another one that I think you should have on your radars again is Batman. Look, Batman Omnibus Volume 3, I think the only place it's selling it, well, the cheapest place it's selling it's Amazon. Not really too many other places got it in stock. Volume 1 only had a few people selling it as well, and they've all crept up in price. So if you had any gaps in your collection with this one, maybe it's worthwhile just jumping on it. As you can tell, I'm losing my voice a little bit, and a suggestion that I had on Instagram was pretty much every DC Omnibus that's been restocked. Now I don't have a concrete, comprehensive list of what that contains. Superman Exile's still hanging in there, but for example, you do have the Death and Return of Superman. People wanted this for ages, but already it looks like it's creeping up in price, and the people that are selling it are getting less and less. It was a lot more expensive at one point. Another one was the Animal Man by Grant Morrison Omnibus. Yeah, already full cover price, only 4 places that are selling it. I think Amazon's the only new place that's selling it. Gotham Central was another one, a book that I really didn't want to miss out on. Yeah, again, that's already at full cover price. And I know that there were a few others like Justice League Dark, Justice League New 52, and I get the feeling that I'm probably going to have to lump something in like Grayson the Super Spy Omnibus, and Sleeper when it does eventually come out. If you wanted any of those books, I'd recommend getting them as soon soon as possible, I'd probably implement a rule similar to what I did with Marvel, that the restocks need to start taking priority for you. If there's any of those books that you need, they need to be the first thing that you're getting as soon as you've got money in your budget, because there's going to be a lot more stock of a new book than there is of a reprint. There might be the odd exceptional circumstances, but I think that's a pretty safe thing to say. So it does look like the price has increased quite a bit on those, but you might still be able to stumble on a deal. And either way, we saw how ridiculous they went in price when they were out of print, and you don't want it to be the case again. I'm just going to power through and get this video filmed. I apologise if the quality isn't what you expect, but honestly, I feel like I'm dying. And as we jump into the Marvel section, we're going to start with a final order cutoff check. Now what this means is that if you place an order before that date, then the retailer that you're buying it from is going to be guaranteed to get a copy, unless of course it's limited edition numbers or some kind of exceptional circumstance, but it's the best way of ensuring that you're actually going to get the book. Organic Price Books, who yes do sponsor the channel, and like I said, if you use those discount codes it really helps, have a really nice discounted section so that you can get your orders in early and save a bit of money, and also not have to worry about missing out. So the final order cutoff ends in 11 days, which I believe takes us to the 15th of December, not counting for the time difference. But coming up, we've got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles IDW collection volume 15, which officially means that I am 5 books behind on that series. You've got all of these Spawn deluxe editions, which we've talked about. We've got the reprint of Tokyo Ghost, which I stupidly forgot to mention when I was doing the independent section. The deluxe edition of Batman Spawn, which I know annoys a few people because they literally just printed a standard size volume, and a deluxe edition of Batman the Man Who Laughs. You've got the compendium of Sandman Mystery Theater, which is one that I'm desperate to pick up. The reprint of Power Girl by Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti, which I paid full cover price for because I thought it'd never be hitting the shelves again. Also done a video talking about who is Power Girl for anyone interested. Don't get too excited with this one because this is the paperback edition of Jeff Johns' JSA. The World of Black Hammer Library Edition Volume 5. Madman Library Edition Volume 4. You can pre-order the reprint of Kill or Be Killed, but like I said, I'm not really too sure what's happening there. In all honesty, if you can pre-order it, get your pre-orders in because it's better than missing out completely. The Defenders Omnibus Volume 2, you've got both covers there, and we're getting into some of the Marvel books now. You've got Avengers by Jason Aaron Volume 4, the deluxe edition. Ultimate X-Men Volume 2, which yes, of course, I'm going to be picking up. The Marvel's Omnibus reprint, which I definitely need to get because I missed out on the original because the binding was awful. The Immortal Hulk Omnibus, which I've got a review of that series coming later this month. A book that absolutely everybody's going to be pre-ordering. We've got Marvel July 1963. So if you just want to know the books that were coming out in July 1963 and you don't care about June or August, then this is the one for you. Honestly, why isn't someone telling Marvel that no one wants these books, let alone that we need 3 covers of it? You've got pre-orders of Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider Omnibus. I think I might check that out to Marvel Unlimited before I pick it up. But it's got 3 covers, but that means absolutely nothing when they just did that with July 1963. You've got the pre-order of Who is Wonder Woman, Spider-Man by Joe Kelly, which admittedly I know some people are going to skip out on because of Brand New Day, like myself. You've got Absolute Batman 3 Jokers, which I'm excited to read before I buy this. The second volume of Dr. Aphra, which I believe is going to be much skinnier than the first one. And a book that I was very excited to see come back in the solicitations is Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That to me is a day one buy, so if you want it, I'd recommend pre-ordering it. You can pre-order from other websites as well, it's just that Organic Price Books does sponsor the channel and they also have this helpful section. But jumping into the Marvel books, the first thing that we're going to do is our Conan check. And this is a book that I think needs to be very high at the top of your radar, because it's Conan by Jason Aaron. I know you probably expected me to look at the omnibuses, and yeah, we don't know if Titan Comics is going to reprint this. I'm actually in contact with them, they were kind enough to send me some books across, so I'm going to try and get some more information about this. But for a deluxe edition that's quite decently priced, I wouldn't really sit around on this because we know that Marvel no longer has a license. So you've seen how quickly those omnibuses have disappeared, you don't want the 12 issues of the modern run to go as well. Volume 9 of the original Marvel years is struggling to keep stock, but it might actually just be the case it hasn't really come out across here just yet. Obviously I'm looking at UK Amazon. Volume 8's drastically increased in price. You can already pre-order the Titan Comics version, so I don't know, maybe people are going to sit out the remaining volumes from Marvel and just wait for Titan Books to start printing them. That is a viable option, but if you did want all of the Marvel books, then I'd definitely recommend getting them whilst you still can. A reprint that I know a lot of people will probably be very happy with is A Savage Sword, coming out in June of next year. Oh my god, they're bringing them out quick. So volume 1 of the original Marvel years, or whatever it's going to be called, is going to be 13th of June, and then 2 weeks later is Savage Sword. I know they've already done a solicitation for volume 2 as well, that's probably going to come out the next day. Volume 5's still quite healthily available considering how early on of a title that was, but look, they're all around this 80 to 100 quid mark. At the minute though, it doesn't look like there's much movement on the books that were already struggling to keep stock before, and now it's just showing me Spanish editions. Yeah, I was right, look, so the original comics volume 2 is coming out the 8th of August, which is 2 weeks after, and then pretty much 2 weeks after that, it might be 3, they're actually giving you a break, is going to be the second volume of Savage Sword. You know what, good on Titan Comics for just shooting these books out. Knowing that people are going to be paying over cover overpriced and just making sure that people can get their hands on them. It's a good job in my books. Now I know some of these Conan omnibuses were going for sale over here on Forbidden Planet. Yeah, so volume 7, the DM variant, is just over half price. Same situation for volume 7 of the original years, and volume 6, but it looks like some of those that were on sale have disappeared. I'm not really going to linger too much on Conan though, because I know not everybody actually wants to pick these books up, especially when we're getting close to 20 or so volumes. But what I did want to draw your attention to is some of the books in the Forbidden Planet sale. Because I said this earlier on in the video, but if a company's trying to get rid of the stock of it, it's not because they're trying to do you a favour, it's because they know it's not selling and they need the space. It's just shelf warming at that point, so having a look at some of the Marvel books that are in this sale might give us an indication as to what might go out to print soon. And if some of you did want these books, it's going to help save you a bit of money. So you've got Avengers, The Gathering, the Who's Who Omnibus, which I probably should have pointed out in the DC section, along with the Absolute Fourth World Volume 2. You've also got Loki Volume 1, you've got the reprint of Captain Britain, the original X-Men Volume 2, along with Excalibur Volume 2, The Incredible Hulk by Peter David Volume 4, the third volume of Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme, Star Wars Empire Volume 1, which I thought was going out to print last time, Thor by Matt Fraction, Cole the Conqueror, some of the Conan volumes that we've already touched on, Aliens Volume 2, Onslaught, you've also got What If Volume 2, seems to be a lot of sequel volumes. The main cover of Loki's even cheaper. You can get the Thunderbolts Volume 2, the main cover of Excalibur Volume 2 is cheaper than the DM variant. New Mutants Volume 2, you've got the original Mighty Thor, Captain America by Dan Jurgens, Incredible Hulk, Cloak and Dagger, which we're going to touch on a bit later, the Inferno Prologue, which is less than half price, Savage She-Hulk, Captain America Lives, Doctor Strange by Jason Aaron, a lot of Marvel Masterworks, and one that is ridiculously cheap but I'm still not buying it, the Inferno Prologue, the Silvestri cover. Now, you might want to pick some of these up. I don't believe that you should just jump on it because it's a sale item if you didn't want it to begin with, but to me, those books, especially these ones that are over half price off, are the ones that are going to disappear, and Marvel's probably not going to be likely to do a reprint. I've been proven wrong with stuff in the past like X-Men Age of Apocalypse Companion, and there's a very high chance that I could be wrong here. It wouldn't be the first time and it definitely won't be the last, but still, especially if you're in the UK, I'd make sure that you're having a look on this, seeing if there's any books that you want, because it might be one of the last chances that you can really get a good deal on it. And the annoying thing is that the books that nobody wants when they're in print are the ones that go for ridiculous prices when they're sold out, and all of a sudden you get everybody wanting to buy them. But speaking of which, with some of these, I do think that Doctor Strange Volume 3 is one that you should be looking at, but that third volume, the fact that it's already quite cheap on Forbidden Planet, and this main cover they had for over half price, along with it being a sequel volume, makes me think that it's not going to be around for much longer. So you can get both covers from organic price books. I always like how the DM variant of Sorcerer Supreme Volume 3 at first glance kind of looks exactly like the DM variant for the Doctor Strange by Jason Aaron book. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I always get these two confused. You can get both covers over at Reed Comics, so it looks like at the minute you can still get your hands on this, but the fact that it's already gone so cheap so quickly over at Forbidden Planet has got me a bit worried. So if you wanted it, I'd recommend jumping on it, because I can see this being one of those volumes that just shoots up in price, because it is a sequel and it is for something that a lot of people didn't pick up. So what that means in the eyes of scalpers is that they can charge a pretty penny for it, and you can see currently how much Volume 2 is going for. Do you think Volume 3 isn't going to be the exact same? Another one that I want to look at is the Young Avengers. Both omnibuses, the Kieran Gillen and my favourite, the Alan Heinberg. I wouldn't worry too much about this with it only just coming out, and with it being rumoured heavily that they're going to feature in the MCU, but this one, the Kieran Gillen volume, which is one of the skinniest omnibuses that I own, has shot up in price, and in all honesty, I don't think it's worth that much to begin with. It's a great book, don't get me wrong, but when you consider how many pages it's got, 360, that price, it doesn't really make sense to me. And as well, this reprint has been available for over a year now, and at the risk of sounding like a snob, they've printed the best version of this team now, so you're not really going to want to keep this one on the shelves. That's just me being biased towards these guys. So yeah, you can still get both covers from organic price books. You can also get both covers from Forbidden Planet, so I'd probably recommend jumping on that there, but you can't get the regular cover of the Heinberg volume, so maybe I've got this the complete wrong way around. And another preemptive book, because of the fact that Marvel is really good at keeping books in stock now, is going to be the World of Wakanda omnibus. Now this is more of a hunch. I don't think this is going to be on shelves for that long, and I reckon that when this goes, it will just disappear, because to an outsider looking in, this looks more like an anthology than an actual story. But I know a lot of people who have slept on this book, so I think when it does disappear, you're not really going to find it. But I'm not really going to jump into it too much, because when I was doing my research, it does look like most places had this in stock, but I'd just keep your eye on it. One that I got a few people messaging me about is the Miracle Man Omnibus, and fair warning, for how much content's actually in here, it is not worth paying full cover price. 95 quid for near enough 400 to 500 pages of content just feels a little bit of a rip-off. Sure, yeah, there is a lot of supplementary material, but I also think that this is one of those that I'd rather just jump on, because the fact there was such a lengthy legal debate between everyone who thought they owned this character, it makes me think that he might be in a similar situation to Conan in a few months. That maybe Neil Gaiman again will say that he owns it, and maybe this time he'll win. I don't really know. Do I look like the type of guy who's smart enough to understand the law? But I think it's a blessing that we got this book printed to begin with, and it did look as if a few places lost stock of this quite quickly. I know a few people had this pre-ordered with Forbidden Planet, but already it looks like none of them are available. Yeah, all 3 covers are unavailable over there. Organic Price Books had quite a lot of these, so they might have quite a few left. They're sold out of that cover, but in all honesty, this cover, which seems to be the only one that they've got in stock at the moment, is the main cover. That's the one that you'd really want. I wouldn't judge you for getting either of the other two, it's just my personal preference. Nope, not showing up either on Read Comics. You might stumble on this, especially with it being they only got stocked a few weeks ago, but all I'm saying is, it seems to have disappeared quite quickly. Yeah, Walt's Comic Shop has got the Davies cover, my favourite cover, in stock, and if you do decide to use any of these websites, do your boy a favour and tell them that the Mad Dog sent you, because it's always good to get word out about the channel. But yeah, this is definitely one that I don't know if there's going to be a restock, I don't even know if they'll be allowed to do one. It was very much in a similar boat to me as Savage Avengers, in that I knew that I needed to pre-order it. One omnibus series that I didn't even realise had gone out of print because I'm not good at this job and I've only got one pair of eyes is Cloak and Dagger. Volume 1 is just pretty much completely unavailable. Last time it was available for under cover price was back in October. Nope, sorry, last month. But it was a used copy, and do you really want that? I don't know too many people who bought this, but it doesn't mean that there isn't people who would want it. It's Purple Button of Doom over at Read Comics, which doesn't really surprise me, and you can get both covers of Volume 2. I always like when they have to put Spider-Man front and centre when it isn't even his book. You can only get Volume 2 at Organic Price Books. You might stumble on a copy here. Okay, so they do have the omnibus of Volume 1, but it's over cover price, and it's over cover price over at Walt's Comic Shop as well. And again, they did the Spider-Man trick. One series that I do also think you need to keep your eyes on is some of these Immortal Hulk hardcovers. Now, I believe Volumes 1 and 2 are already out of print. Yeah, so Volume 1 you can't get, and Volume 2 you can't get either. But Volume 3 is at full cover price, so I think that's pretty much going to be on its way out soon. Volume 4 is still quite healthily available, but not much cheaper than cover price. And Volume 5 is going to release in a couple of days. My point with this, and I'm not going to check a lot of other websites because I know most people want the omnibus, is to make sure that if you wanted any of these or that you're missing any in your collection, make sure you get them as soon as possible. Another one that's going to be a bit of speculation is the X Factor by Peter David Volume 1. Now, for being honest, most people really want this Volume 2 because it's got X Factor investigations, and I think Volume 1 might disappear before a lot of people realise it. It's been in print for over a year, and yeah, you might say that in the past I've said that if a book's going to have sequel volumes, they normally keep the first couple in print, but in all honesty, that rule doesn't even track sometimes. I have noticed this creeping up every now and then, but it looks like a lot of the usual places we go to have got it. But this is the part of the run that most people seem to not talk about. I'm not doubting that there's probably fans of it, but most people want what's contained in Volume 2 and the Volume 3 that's going to be released, which says to me that Volume 1 might drop off the face of the earth, so I think you've got another couple of months with that, but I would keep my eye on it. But as you heard me say there, that if there's a sequel volume, it normally gives me the indication that they're going to keep the earlier ones in print, even though that's completely contradictory to what I just said about X Factor. But one that hasn't already had a sequel volume announced just yet at the time of filming is the Extreme X-Men by Chris Claremont. I don't know a lot about this series, I don't know how much more content there is that they need to collect, but it seems like this has hit the market like a lead balloon. Already you can't get it from Amazon, not sure if they're going to get a restock. Books Etc. does have it, but it's at that inflated price since the currency issue. I think you will still be able to find this at a lot of the comic places, but admittedly I can also see this maybe being an omnibus that eventually makes its way into Forbidden Planet's sale. You don't hear a lot of people saying good things about this book, but you can get both covers at Organic Price Books, and it very well may be the case that this is just having a hard time getting across here in the UK. But Marvel is quite good at announcing sequel volumes, sometimes even before the first ones hit the streets. We saw it even with books like Ultimate X-Men, so why didn't they do the same with Extreme? I think maybe there's something that we don't know, and Marvel isn't really at a rush to keep this in print, and it might be the case that Marvel eventually begrudgingly does a volume 2, but they don't see the point in restocking the first one. You do see that happening from time to time. I think Cloak and Dagger was an example of that, and Power Packs seem to be the same. So if you did want this, I would keep your eye on it. Like I said, it might just be the case that the UK is having issues, or it also might just mean that there wasn't that many of them printed in the first place. Another one that's pretty much just pure speculation is going to be the King in Black Omnibus. This hasn't been released yet at the time of filming, and I know some people have had advanced copies, and yeah, I kinda wish that was me, but I can see this being one that disappears after about 6 months to a year. But because the Ven Omnibus is pretty much coming out at the same time, I know a lot of people are just going for that one, and I think I'm going to do the same. But if you do like these event omnibuses, even though I do think they're built quite poorly, they never actually put them in reading order, they just put them in series order, so it doesn't really make sense. But if we're being honest, the big seller is going to be the Ven Omnibus by Donny Cates. It's not really going to be this one. I'm not doubting that this is going to get sales, but if you were Marvel, which one would you make more copies of? So especially with the timing of the release, I can see this being a book that Marvel's just releasing just to tick a box, because they did the same with Absolute Carnage, and there are some people that have just got the hardcovers. But this is one of those that I wouldn't be surprised if it disappeared quite quickly, similar to something like War of the Realms. If it's happened in the past, it can happen again, so I would just keep your eye out for that one. Some good news though, and I saw this, and I don't know if it's going to be the same at the time when I actually release this video, but there is a very good price on the Ven Omnibus by Donny Cates over at Amazon UK. I've pre-ordered it from here. I'm going to take the risk because you do always get free returns. Look, literally just the other day it was at 110 quid. Watch it not be the same by the time I release this video. And it seems to be the cheapest out of the majority of the Amazons. For some reason this isn't showing me the US, but it is worth having this Keeper app because occasionally there can be a massive discount on a book that you might have wanted, and it's really worked out for me well here with the Ven Omnibus. But in a similar logic to the King in Black Omnibus, I also think that Absolute Carnage is on its way out again. Look, it's very close to cover price. There's only a couple places that are selling it, none of which I've ever really used. Amazon's just saying that there's only 6 left. It doesn't even say that they're getting more in. And if I'm being honest, with Absolute Carnage being collected in the Ven Omnibus, I think this is one of those that's going to dry out. You can order it from organic price books. It's not available from Forbidden Planet, but you can get it from Read Comics, and you can also get it from Walt's Comic Shop. So there are a few places that still sell this, but it does seem like it's creeping up in price, and the majority of it does become obsolete when that Ven Omnibus comes out. I've already done a video which is Double Dip a Skip, and it took me a lot of time to research that, so if you're on the fence with any of these books or you're not sure what you need to collect, make sure you check that out. But if you're a completionist, then I'd just make sure that you're not missing out on any of these. Marvel did have to do a restock of this at one point, and before that it was going for stupid prices. The last of these event omnibuses that I think should be on your radar at the moment is Empire. Again, another one that I know a lot of people don't enjoy, but this has been in print for over a year, and let me just ask you, do you see this popping up in a lot of people's monthly hauls? No, and I think it was also in Forbidden Planet sale at one point. But let's watch me be completely wrong again. Okay, yeah, you can get the DM variant, but not the standard edition. You can get both covers from Read Comics. Jesus Christ, I'm not on board with this. Well, watch. The DM variant sold out from organic price books, but you can get the regular cover. But again, this is just another one that I think when it goes out to print, you're going to have a difficult time finding it, because there hasn't been a lot of buzz, and it is a whammy book, so I can't really see a lot of people wanting it warming the shelves. One book that I do think should be on your radar as well is the Doom Omnibus. No, I'm not going to buy a Kindle edition of it. This came out in August of this year, and it seems like the hype for it's already died down. Amazon's been having issues keeping it in stock. It's also creeped up a little bit in price. Books Etc. does have it, but it seems like it's increased. The DM variant's on back order over at organic price books, but the original cover is sold out. Can't seem to find it over at Forbidden Planet. Okay, so both covers are out of stock. I do believe I saw this though at Read Comics. Okay, so DM variant and also the Greg Land cover. I wonder which adult movie copied that image from, and I don't know why they didn't call this the Doomnibus, but you can get this from Walt's Comic Shop. It is just a little bit over cover price. They are selling one that they said is a bit damaged. I do believe that they would include images of that, so you can get this from a couple of places, but it seems like the hype's died down for this, and it is starting to dry up. Not really a great sign. The last book that I want to look at for today was suggested by Steven, so I do want to check in on this, but it's the Ultimate Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 1. Now, I'm reluctant to say that I think Marvel won't restock this. It is currently over cover price at Amazon, and it's not even being sold by them. Can't believe this came out at the beginning of the year. I could have sworn it was earlier than that, or maybe it's just my concept of time is gone. And there was 3 covers of this as well. You can still get the Joe Quesada one. It looks like the Venom one's out of stock, and it's full cover price for the first issue. You can't get any cover from Forbidden Planet. Purple Button are doing for all 3 covers over at Read Comics. You can get the first issue cover and also the Venom cover from Walt's Comic Shop, but the Venom cover is just a bit over cover price. And admittedly, my friend Yoki made a good point that once it's on your shelf, you're not really going to see the cover anyway. So I'd admittedly recommend getting the one that's cheapest, which makes me an absolute hypocrite because I just said that whole speech about the Miracle Man Omnibus. But it does seem as if that is drying up. I think at some point there would be a restock, especially because I do believe that they've announced a Volume 3, but at the same time, until something's confirmed, we never really know. So if you can get this for a decent enough price that you're comfortable enough paying, then I would recommend jumping on it. But that was a good suggestion from Steven, and if you've got any books that you believe might be going out of print or should be on your radar, make sure you leave them in the comment section below. As well, I always put it up as a question on my Instagram before I start filming this on what books you want to see in the next video, so make sure you're following me there so that I can research into it. Like I said, I've only got one pair of eyes, so if you guys can help other people in the community save money on a book, then why shouldn't we be doing that? But I'm going to leave that there because because I'm very cold, I need a nap, and I feel like I'm severely dehydrated. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I feel like it feels good to be back on a bit of a streak with Whale Watch again. If you do want to support the channel, like I said, I've got the discount codes that you can use over at Organic Price Books. There's an affiliate link in the description for Amazon UK. I do also have a coffee. If you can donate anything, it is greatly appreciated, and all the money does go back into the channel. But more than anything, just watching and supporting the videos is a big help, because it seems like YouTube doesn't want to promote longer content anymore. I tried to get into shorts. I don't really think I've got the hang of it just yet. I'm going to stick with it for a bit, but longer content is what I enjoy more. So yeah, thanks again for watching if you got to this point, but until next time, just make sure that you stay safe and stay mad, all you dogs. Woof woof. See you at the next video.